Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Chicago. Yeah, we're Lincoln Park here. Clark and Fullerton will cross and see if I can clear off the camera here. Make sure the lens is clear. There, we'll yeah, Clark Street here. You look down, you can see a nice view to the John Hancock. There's always somebody turning there that I can't get it. I want to zoom in right when I cross, but there's always somebody trying to turn there. Let's look at this here. Yeah, that's clear. Okay, good. So hey, welcome to Clark and Fullerton here, Chicago, Illinois. We're gonna have a beautiful sunrise here. I'm tempted to go to the lakefront, but it looks like we got the Michigan mountains. So there's these clouds that usually form on the Michigan side. So we'll just walk through the neighborhood. We caught a beautiful sunrise yesterday. So if you want to watch that rerun instead, I'm just gonna walk through Lincoln Park. We'll head through Oldtown. I might go by the river there. We might check out the progress of the casino there by the Montgomery Wards. There, Jason, how you doing? There, Jason Taylor, Krista, Izzy, Prince, McKay, how you doing there? Christopher, good morning. How you doing there, Christopher? Thanks for tuning in from New York there. Wayne, yeah. UK, Luton, L-U-T-O-N, Luton, UK. United Kingdom, thanks for tuning in here. Welcome to Chicago, yeah. No, I saw, Christopher, I saw you got some snow in New York City. I saw you film that over the weekend. It was, yeah, with that cold blast that we got really cold here in Chicago. We didn't get much snow. Most of the snow went further south and up east where you're at. We still got some snow on the ground, but it's from like 2 weeks ago, and we're going to get rain and warmer later this week. It's supposed to, we're above freezing now. We're above we're 35 degrees right now, 36, 35. So it didn't really cool down overnight. I know it's relative, like people from Florida and California are like, what are you talking about? It's warm. But yeah, we were dealing with like single digits, so 30, 36 in the morning compared to single digits in the morning is a big difference. And I'm not even wearing gloves. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, check out Christopher Dotson there in New York. He's on YouTube. How you doing there, doggy? How you doing there? Yeah, good morning. How you doing? That dog loves me. Yeah, yeah, but here's the twin sisters here. We're at Cleveland Street, south of Fullerton, Lincoln Park. We're gonna head to work here. Let's see what else is going on here. Well, we did the sunrise yesterday, so I choose my own thing. People, no matter what I choose, if I choose to film the sunrise, people will be like, I want to see the neighborhood. If we have filmed the neighborhood, people will be like, I want to see the sunrise. You know. Okay, so there's things I learned from doing this live streaming. And let's see if I can prove myself right. I notice when I start my walks on Cleveland Street, more people tune in by the time I get to Michigan Avenue. Why is that? I don't know. I filmed the sunrise yesterday. You can look at my analytics. The whole time I was walking by the lake, and the whole time I was walking until Michigan Avenue, I hovered around 125 people. Once I got to Michigan Avenue, once I got to the tall buildings by the river, my viewership went up to 300, almost 400. People tune in to see the buildings. I would film the sunrise every morning if I could, but less people tune in to see the sunrise. I just can't keep people's attention. And I got a lot of, I'm walking by the lake. There's sometimes the wind blows. There's a lot of annoying things that can happen by the lake, but we'll see the sunrise from the city. We'll see it with the skyline in the background. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful sunrise. And I just try to mix it up. Like sometimes we head down different streets, even though I walk generally in the same area. This is my commute to work. I'm not going to go way out of my way. People request me to go all over the city. Go to O Block, go to this and that, go to the Home Alone house 20 miles away. I'm like, what, are you serious? Like someone puts a comment in there like I'm supposed to just pick up what I'm doing and change direction. I know that's not the intention, but hey, thanks for tuning in. All live streamers get this. Hey, we ran into Lux, Chicago. We ran into Chicago Nuggies. Ernie yesterday. We ran into Lux, which is Chicago Vistas, and then we We saw this Gemini at the Kris Kringle, or you know, we went there for the lighting of the menorah, the Hanukkah, third day of Hanukkah. We filmed that. They were beautiful cover songs, nice singing and celebration there. It's the third day of Hanukkah with speeches. We filmed it. Thanks everybody for tuning in for that. And we'll continue our journey here. But hey, I'm missing all the comments there. CM Punk. Yeah, welcome. But hey, thanks Jasmine. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody else there. Yeah, Toronto, how you doing there? Yeah, that dog doesn't like me at all. CM Punk, yeah, I heard of CM Punk. That's great. Thanks for bringing him up there. See, look, Exploring America. Exploring America wants me to go to O Block. So, Exploring America, what else do you know about Chicago? Just name one other thing. You can watch my videos of O Block. TikTok is censoring my videos of O Block. Now, I love it when people bring up O Block because I get to remind people that I'm not the only one. Other people have content of O Block. O Block gets censored on TikTok. They won't push it to the For You page. I got content on YouTube as well. What's the reason? Can you give me a reason why you want me to go to O Block? Do you like the drill hip hop community? You live in Parkway Gardens? You like the South Side? You live on the South Side? You want to give a shout out to your South Side friends? Is that why? I'm trying to understand why consistently every day, no matter what I film, where I go, people are obsessed with O Block. And I know it's because of Odie Perry and Chief Keek and King Von. I filmed the King Von mural. I could circle O Block every day. It would never be enough. I could move into the hotel there at 65th and MLK and move into Parkway Gardens. You can rent an apartment there. Hey, Traveling America, you could rent an apartment in Parkway Gardens. You can live in O Block. Hey, you can support Odie Perry and King Von by living in Parkway Gardens and helping out the community there, shopping in the local districts around there. We went to the convenience store where the King Von mural is. Come on, where you at there? Come on, who's the person asked about O Block? Come on, enlighten me. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. Yeah, we're in Lincoln Park. Yeah, I've been walking in Chicago since 1999, long before the age of live streaming. I like how they're writing books that are becoming bestsellers about how to make sure your kids don't get on social media, and I agree. You know, I know Australia passed that law. Minors under 16 can't use social media. Very controversial. Good luck trying to pass that here. Mark Zuckerberg wants access to your kid's mind so you can keep him in the pipeline. Monetize your kids for the rest of your lives. Yeah, these wonderful billionaires and this great world they've created. Yeah. But hey, we'll just head to work here, do the best we can. This is life. Life is annoying. Hey, look at, yeah, see, there's still some snow on the ground here. So if you just joined, we're in Chicago. We're on Cleveland Street. We got 6:47 in the a.m. and we're heading to work here on a Wednesday. The week's flying by. Last night we checked out the lighting the menorah, third day of Hanukkah. I like seeing like the caravans. And then so when I walked home, I switched to TikTok, and that's where we saw Lux. She was on Michigan Avenue. It's great running into her. Check out Chicago Vistas there, Lux. But and this happens always, you know, living in the city of Chicago is great. Around the time of Hanukkah, you encounter the usually groups of teenage young men there handing out the dreidels. And they got me on Michigan Avenue. They said, "Are you Jewish?" And I always, you know, I do have very long, distant, way back, even beyond like the Native American, the Sephardic Jews that were marooned here with the Melungeons. But it's from the 1500s, you know. I'm pretty a non-religious, non-secular guy, so I always stutter around. I don't want to like not acknowledge that I might have a distant drop of Sephardic Jewish blood, which I'm proud of. It goes with the Melungeons. That doesn't mean I'm a practicing Jewish person, you know. I'm not a practicing Christian either. I'm pretty non-religious, non-secular. I could have took a dreidel, but I enjoyed talking with the guys we filmed it. We ran into those guys up in Wrigley Field last year, and then this year we ran into them on Michigan Avenue. So, you know, usually during Hanukkah, that's a great thing, a kind of an outreach. I think it's great. It was great running into them. on Michigan Avenue. Fellow friends and neighbors there live in Chicago. And that's why yesterday I did not plan to go to the lighting of the menorah until somebody mentioned it when I was walking to work, just like now, like go to O Block. They were like, well, they're going to light the menorah. I knew it was already, the Sunday was the first day of Hanukkah. They probably do this every night, or I think for some reason last night was a larger gathering because there were speeches and politicians there, and the DJs. We saw the DJ and the singer do the cover of the One Day song, which I thought was great, so I reposted that. I did kind of was a little worried they started chanting support of the Israeli army, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get reamed in the comments, I know for sure. And thanks to my mod team. And you know, full disclosure, we have in the past, we filmed the pro-Palestinian protests against the DNC. We walked with them marching. I know when I went to the No Kings, there was a lot of support for Palestine within, you know, in that organization group, which I participate in as well. But you know, we got to separate the Jewish faith from the actions of the Israeli government, and that's the hardest thing to do. And I'm confused too when they mix a religious solemn ceremony with support for an army. I know it's very strange, I know, but it's the defense, you know. And I'm for free speech. I just film things they are. Just because I film things don't necessarily mean I support them. We talk about this. I want there to be a Palestinian state. I want there to be an Israeli state. I want people to coexist and not fight and not have genocide. And I don't know the answer. I'm confused like everybody else. I don't know the best path forward. I wish things will get better. Hey, somebody lost your hat. But I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought I was kind of moved by it, especially after what happened in Australia. So I felt a responsibility to cover it. So here's it's just an ally. Here's or a friend or trying to be a neighbor. Here's the Christmas decorations here. We went to Mohawk here, so I cut over to Mohawk. I need to walk down Mohawk Street more to see what they got here. Let's kind of get an overview. See if we should head back to the street for Christmas decorations here. We'll let the traffic move out of here. So hey, Mohawk Street. This is still Lincoln Park. We're almost down to Armitage here. Heading to work here on a Wednesday. We have Chicago, Illinois. We got 6:52 in the AM, and we got about 35 degrees. Not bad at all. There's still some Christmas lights here. It's dark. The sun has not risen yet, and yeah, we caught the sunrise yesterday, and so we'll mix it up today and walk through the neighborhood here. Yeah, beautiful housing here on Mohawk Street, Lincoln Park, Chicago. Thanks for checking it out. Good morning, Wes. How you doing there? Yeah, James is tuning in. Sabrina, Suburban Garden. Good morning. Yeah, can anybody help out? Can anybody share Chicago Nuggies link to Ernesto Chicago Nuggies? He's on TikTok and YouTube. I think you just search Chicago Nuggies. I often joke it's impossible to find anything on TikTok, I know, but I'm sure somebody can help you out there. Ernesto Chicago Nuggies, and we ran into him yesterday. He's still streaming. He took a little break, but he's streaming now, and he covered the steam coming off the Chicago River. We reposted that. Yeah, this is Armitage here. I don't think they have to stop, so they have to stop at Cleveland, but not Mohawk. It's like a mid-block in between Larrabee. So there was a podiatrist that was in there. I noticed the podiatrist had gone, and the podiatrist was there just like a month ago. I saw him like working at his store, and I didn't think anything of it. And now he's gone, so I don't know what happened. And I'll try. Maybe I'll go back and search for that footage to see if we can get him at work there. Hey, good morning there, Doreen. How you doing there? Send some snow to Texas. Well, I'm going to Texas, so we'll see. I think I know it got really cold this weekend. I saw it was down to 32 in Houston overnight, but that's pretty cold for December in Houston. But it looks like 70s for next week when I'm going to be there with my father. Here's some new construction on Mohawk Street here. Mohawk, Lincoln Park, Chicago. It smells like new construction. New temp treated lumber. It's great. Here's yeah, look at the housing here. So eight Mohawk, new construction, 8-unit condominium development. Here it is. Urban Edge Group, attached garage. So here's some new multifamily housing here on Trustman. Look how somebody put a sticker here. Stop destroying Chicago. Isn't that interesting? It's a sticker. It says tear down rebuilds. They see so many little buildings like that, which was like a workman's cottage, were torn down to build stuff like this. But it's the nature of development. And how you doing here? If you could end gentrification, good luck, because same people that are like decry gentrification, I'm like, well, then you got a beef with capitalism. And they're like, no, I don't have a beef with capitalism. I'm like, well, it's kind of connected, right? You know, it's trying to make the most money and squeeze profits out of opportunities, and sometimes things are lost. You know, just because something makes money doesn't mean it's the best thing to do. You know, is everything valued by if it's profitable or not? There's a lot of things that aren't profitable that still have value that we subsidize, and that's the conundrum, you know. But I'm sorry to bring this stuff up. Here's just leads to more questions. There, Mohawk Street, Wisconsin. There's that turret. Look at that turret. Or it's just like a little window bay at the top there. With, I wonder if that had a roof on it at one time. See, the street used to connect to Larrabee, but they closed it off. And here's this park here. Hey, it's a beautiful morning. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, Chicago, Illinois. Here, 35 degrees Fahrenheit. We're above 0 Celsius for like 1 or 2 Celsius. We'll take it. Yeah, it's a cold but beautiful day. Yeah, nice house. Yeah, if you want to look at prices in this area, you can easily go to Zillow or apartments.com or talk to real estate agents like Nick Koiken. There's so many real estate agents all throughout the city that'll help you out with prices. I'm not a banker. I'm not a real estate agent. Whatever I quote, take and double it. I used to think I knew what things cost, and now everything's more expensive than I could imagine. Hey, Mohawk, 3 luxury condominiums here, so you can check it out. Mohawk on the Park. So type in Mohawk on the Park, see if they're listing anything yet. I don't know. It looks like they're ready to move in. But see, a lot of these are tear down rebuilds. There's some older stuff. The real older stuff is mostly gone. It was like tear down rebuilds. A lot of this stuff was empty lots from the urban renewal period. If you go back and look at aerial maps, this was all like vacant land in the 60s and 70s, because there was housing here. They tore it down when they tore down all that stuff for Cabrini Green, and they thought they actually were going to put public housing up here, but it didn't come to fruition. Isn't that amazing? Read Chuck De Los Santos' book, Once Upon a Time in the Neighborhood. He talks about the Sheffield neighborhood. He talks about growing up in Lincoln Park in the 1980s. It was much different then. There was Puerto Rican enclaves, and it was much more working class. It was beginning to become gentrified then, and he talks about the transition. And he tunes back in. See, you can't imagine now. Look, everything's millionaires and billionaires and white people, and it wasn't always the case, you know. And it's just the nature of neighborhoods change over time. And I'm part of that thing. I'm part of it too. I grew up from the country. I moved to the city. Where did I move? I didn't move to Pilsen. I didn't move to Bronzeville. I moved to Lincoln Park. Because I'm a sellout white person. That's not why. I just wanted to live near the park and where there was like active shopping districts. I could walk to grocery. And at that time in 1999, thankfully there's more grocery stores on the south and west side, but there wasn't, especially in the 70s and 80s. There was the old shopping, like, you know, Jewels and Goldblatt's and things like that, but we lost some of those things. Not the Jewel, but the Goldblatt's. Here's Mohawk Street. We're at Menominee. But I'm in Mohawk here, Lincoln Park, Chicago. Thanks for tuning in. How's everybody doing? We got 35 degrees. We got, we're almost 7 a.m. We're 6:59 a.m. I'm heading to work. That's why I'm here. But we'll walk down towards the North Branch of Chicago River. We'll walk through the former Cabrini Green area, which is being gentrified, redeveloped. New 20-year process. Still going on. A lot of empty lots there too. But they're building that new casino by the river, so there's a hotel there, so we'll check the construction progress. This is part of what I do, is just show new developments, things changing, new, it's just stuff I see walking to and from work. It's nothing big. Believe me, I'm not working that hard at doing this stuff. I'm just commuting to work here. So, hey, look at the balconies here, all this new housing on Mohawk here. Yeah, almost see this is probably one of the last old buildings that goes back to 1800s. All these other ones are tear down rebuilds or new construction on empty lots. And there's some multifamily like these. I think that's several units in there, several condo units in the building. This is Mohawk Street, Lincoln Park, Chicago. We're almost down to North Avenue. We'll cut over to Larrabee. They're working on a new park. The park was already there. It was like a running track near this school. There's like the old high school from Cabrini Green. Now they call it the Noble School or something. The Noble School's like a charter school, I guess. Several Noble schools. Hey, look at that. This is one of the few old 1890s residential buildings that still remain here on Mohawk. So I wondered if there were more. Jennifer, you should eat would know. There's St. Michael's, steeple St. Michael's. There's some older workmen's cottages, actually larger than workmen's cottages. Yeah, this is another, probably goes back to the 1880s after the Great Chicago Fire. Yeah, here's a brick one. Canadian red bricks. Yeah, there's some Canadian red bricks. Yeah, see, most of the bricks in Chicago are that nasty brown, beige, kind of dull brown color. Like more like that color is the Chicago bricks. Get the nice red bricks, yeah, you got to go to, there was Canada or Wisconsin to get that red brick. I don't know if they put pigmentation in the clay or what. Hey, here's Eugenie and Mohawk. There's an interesting view of St. Michael's. We're seeing it west looking east there. You can hear the chimes. They don't ring them in the morning. But here we'll head down to North Avenue. Good morning, everybody. Angel's Patience there. Tea time. Did I miss something? Did I miss some comments there? Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for helping out, Divvy. Yeah, I'm having the same thing. I think there's some gaslighting going on. I don't know if that's people's intention. All kinds of strange games going on social media. There was somebody that, I live streamed on TikTok last night because I was out of my normal time slots there, and I was walking up Michigan Avenue. We saw Lux, and the guy's handing out the dreidels there, which is great. But somebody was like, people just, it drives them nuts that they can't comment because I do super fan only on TikTok, and I know, I'm sure it drives the trolls nuts too, because that's all they got to do. And I don't think this person's a troll. I think this person's a genuine person interested in my content that is frustrated they can't comment on TikTok. I said, please, you can watch on YouTube. You can comment. See, you're all commenting. Even trolls are allowed. You can comment here on YouTube. I got moderators, and they're like, I can't comment on YouTube. I'm like, well, that's your fault. I can't help you out, so don't blame that on me if you can't figure out how to use YouTube. And that's not I'm not knocking anybody. I know there's a learning curve. If you learn how to use TikTok, you can learn how to use YouTube. What does it matter if I stream on YouTube or TikTok? It's like Bill Maher going from a major network to HBO. He liked HBO better because he could curse freely. There's positive, negatives to everything. So, hey, here's the fitness boxing. We go past the fitness boxing sometimes. Yeah, we'll try to continue a block here. Let's see if we can play Frogger. See the John Hancock's off in the distance. We're kind of north and west of it here. Yeah, we got a window here, so let's cross. So here's North Avenue looking towards Wells Street. Here's North Avenue looking towards Halsted. And that's Larby. And here's some of the new development. When I moved here in 1999, this was all empty lots. This Cabrini Green was here, and this was all bombed out. People were like, don't use the North and Clybourne station, it's dangerous. And I didn't realize it was even closed down. And Chuck De Los Santos talks about that in his book. So you can see the elevated train there off in the distance. But here, let's cross the street. I want to check out this fitness boxing. Yeah, even early in the morning, people are boxing here at the Hammer Fitness and Boxing here. I want to show this here. So we're on North Avenue in Mohawk here. See, they're doing the training here, boxing. How you doing? Good morning. Boxing. Hey, very nice. Hey, they're doing the punching bag there. Hammer Fitness, Mohawk, and yeah, Hammer Boxing and Fitness since 1978. Since Rocky came out. Rocky came out in the 76, 77, around there. Here, we'll see if we get the CTA elevated train. I hear it. We'll stick around right here. We'll see if we get the train going by. So yeah, it's actually going to be on the other side. There it is. There's the purple line. There's your purple line heading into the loop of Chicago. Came from Evanston. The purple and brown line runs on this train, the elevated portion. The red line becomes the subway south of Fullerton. It goes subway north of Clybourne. You can't catch the brown and purple at north of Clybourne. You only catch the red. If you want to catch the brown and purple, you got to go to Sedgwick or go up to Armitage. Hey, Candy Cane Lane here in Mohawk Street. Look at the nice little bird feeders. A lot of the birds and squirrels are taking advantage of that. Bridges were made in England. There you go. Thanks, Warren. No, Chicago was ringed by steel foundries 125, 150 years ago, and so Chicago was blessed to have cheaper price of steel because it was right near where it was produced. And that's probably why, the cost of putting that much steel above ground would be astronomical. It would be like trillions of dollars to build the infrastructure now. And they did it, private companies did it back. It wasn't a public expenditure. It was private competing firms. They would have different lines, and one company would run line and the other, and they all would share the loop. And then eventually they consolidated and created the Chicago Transit Authority. And Metra was the commuters for the ones that went out to the suburbs, the diesel engines. And that's a different system, but they kind of make them work with each other a little better now. It's still, I don't know, Ventura works with CTA and bus. Metra has its own ticket system. So let's check out this park. There's a park over here on Larrabee. Yeah, it's under construction here. Blackhawk. We're at Blackhawk and Mohawk. The intersection of Blackhawk and Mohawk in Chicago. Imagine that. Oh yeah, King George commissioned a lot of bridges in America in the 1700s. And we stole them. We stole them all. We fought the King of England, King George III. King George I came from Germany. So the George I, II, and III, they were much more German than most of the English kings and queens back to Elizabeth, and completely different than Arthur's line. There's a nice chart that shows how how there was the war between Queen Elizabeth or the First and Mary Queen of Scots way back to the Renaissance era, the 1500s of England. And there was a horrible civil war. It was mainly the Catholics versus the Protestants, all those religious wars in England. King Henry VIII left the Catholics and converted to Protestantism that came from Germany. But anyway, if you follow the line of succession of Queen Mary, Queen of Scots there, Bloody Mary, and her succession line, and you follow the Queen Elizabeth I line, of course you get to the current kings of England, the Tudors, or the Windsors. It wasn't the Tudors, the Windsors. But if you follow Queen Mary, it goes to the Scottish kings, you get to the guy that's like the Baron of Liechtenstein. And so they're all related. But here's this new park. Look, they're doing let's see, park improvements. So this is Larrabee and Blackhawk, Chicago, Illinois. Park improvements coming soon. Chicago Parks is Bear Construction. This park has a name. I don't know it off the top of my head, but you see Cabrini Green used to be all here. That's the Sears Tower. This is Clybourne. That's North and Clybourne. The red line stops up that way. This development was built about 10, 15 years ago. It's on North Avenue. But see, look, there's a new trellis. That trellis is new. They made a new park here. I don't know if you're going to be able to get over to that stuff. And there's an empty lot. This is where Cabrini Green, the most northern part of Cabrini Green, the green portion of Cabrini Green was here. And I know I shouldn't call them towers. I call them the 10 to 15 story buildings. The taller Cabrini Green buildings were here. The shorter ones, some of them still remain, and we'll see them when we get closer to the casino site. But this is some of the former Cabrini Green here in Chicago. And that housing, I think they built that in the late 1990s. It's some of the first new urbanist style. And you see how they got little gaps between them. And these people, I think when these were built, these towers were just coming down. But we need some on this side of the street. We need some, I know, and it's controversial. What kind of development? Is it affordable? We promised the people that used to live in all these public housing that were mismanaged by HUD, the Housing Urban Development, the Chicago Housing Authority, you know, and then it hasn't happened. And they pruned those trees, though. There, welcome, Chicago. Yeah, it's see, it shows you how I sense that people are very in tune with the cost of housing, whether it's middle class, low income, high income. This is I think this is market rate. But of course, Cabrini Green used to be subsidized. That's why it's gone. It fell in disrepair. It became very hard to live in the buildings because they built them in the 70s, and they probably cut corners, used cheaper materials, and they didn't age well. And there was other crime issues, and we talk about Dantrell Davis. And here's but hey, welcome to Chicago here. Yeah, I got to cross the street because the sidewalk ends with a big pile of snow here. Here's where the sidewalk ends. There you can see we're getting nice views of the skyline. We'll get to see the sunrise over the skyline of Chicago. So I know we didn't see it from the lakefront today, but we'll still see the sunrise over the city of Chicago. Thanks for tuning in here. So this is Larrabee. Yeah, I'm excited about that new park. At least something's happening here. Here's another empty lot. This was another empty lot, and you can even see the parking from when it was Cabrini Green. That church was used in Candyman. You can see that church in Candyman. It used to have a mural on it. I don't know why they painted over the mural. That's the school there. That school was there when Cabrini Green was there. It's still a functioning high school. And here, Oldtown. Look at the nice skyline there. Can you see over the fence? See the skyline? Yeah. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We try to just show what's happening in the city. I mean, I'm just walking to work. I mean, you know, it is, whether I'm live streaming or not, this is what I'd be seeing. Sometimes, you know, I would take the train or ride a bike or take the bus if I wasn't live streaming, get there quicker, but I got time. I don't have a family or kids, pets. What else I got to do? We filmed the lighting of the menorah last night, third day of Hanukkah. That was nice. You can check that out. It's split into 2 reruns. I lost my first live, and so I had to start a new one. But we got. I didn't miss as much as I thought. I'm happy with the footage we got. I'll still work on cutting down the edits, so there'll be a clip coming to your TikTok or YouTube feed there. I'm also on Substack there. I'm starting to post content to Substack. Hey, Boston Terrier meetup, Saturday, November 15th. So they do it for the pugs, Boston Terrier. I wonder where they go. Here's book your trial today, basic hygiene, and it's an advertisement. So here, let's head across. This is Larrabee and Clybourne here. Here, Oldtown. Welcome to Oldtown. Here, we'll zoom into the sign here. Here's the Oldtown mural in Clybourne. Good morning. How you doing there, Bob? Bob, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Yeah, we filmed the lighting of the menorah last night. We're trying to cover everything. And yeah, you know where we're at here. This is Clybourne and Larrabee. There's the One Chicago Tower. Oldtown's that way. We got this dog grooming place. Yeah, let's go see what this casino looks like. They're starting to build the hotel. And there's that church you can see from the Candyman movie. Yeah, Bob. Let's see. Tea lime, tea time. Mary, yes. Maurice. Hello. Yeah. Lambie T, how you doing there? Interested, not interested? Let's see. I missed something. I work for HUD. Very interested in hearing what happened to Chicago PH in the takeover. Yeah, so there was a consent. Are you talking about the consent decree? Yeah. So, yeah, I'll look more into it. I have a book on Cabrini Green and what happened there. Let me research it. You can research it on your own. But, yeah, it's... okay, so... After World War II, there was an extreme demand for affordable housing, and the United States experienced a bout of inflation after that war in the late 40s and early 1950s when we were fighting the Korean War. On the Road, Jack Kerouac talks about this in his book because when he was writing that book, that was that period and there was inflation, just like we're experiencing now. A different situation though. And so finally, you know, there was attempts to... The Marshall Field Garden Apartments were built in 1929. Even in the roaring 20s, there was realized that housing, there was still a need for affordable housing, and philanthropists like Marshall Field did it out of his generosity. Well, then the government got much larger after World War II, the government budgets. And it was Republicans and Democrats had huge budgets. We were building tons of nuclear bombs to fight Russia. You know, the Cold War started. Huge military expenditure that continued after World War II. And then it morphed into the huge budgets for the space program and other things. By the time you get to JFK and LBJ did the Great Society, where he was trying to do the war on poverty, to use massive government expenditure to correct imbalances with, you know, there wasn't enough affordable housing being built. And so America, because it's America, we always have this racial baggage hanging over anything that the government does. Whereas, listen to what I'm going to say. So at the exact same time as the Eisenhower interstate system, the massive government expenditure for the Eisenhower interstate system, that was government money with the gas tax. They at the same time, they built the public housing in the city. What was people's reaction? America doesn't integrate well. It really didn't integrate well, especially in cities in the 1950s and 60s, a very charged environment, the civil rights movement. People were then and are still now prejudiced, especially with housing. Chicago was pretty pronounced with the redlining. Real estate agents would actually redline areas and wouldn't sell people to houses unless they met certain racial purity laws, which was racist. It was horrible, you know, and we know this. And it was to protect property values. Think of that, capitalism. Anyway, so a lot of public housing was built all at once, all throughout the city, not just this city, all cities in the United States. New York City with Robert Moses, and Chicago, Los Angeles, St. Louis, Pruitt-Igoe was built, Robert Taylor, Stateway Gardens, Cabrini Green, Henry Horner Homes. And so it was a real thing. There was a thing called white flight, where the more recent Irish, Polish, German American, Italian American people, that it was easier for them to assimilate and live the American dream by getting a cheap house in the suburbs and fleeing the city that was becoming at their time perceived taken over by the black migration from the South, people coming from the South to the North to get nice northern industrial jobs. And so the tragedy of the public housing, when they first started building the public housing, like the Francis Xavier Cabrini homes that we'll see here later, the lower scale stuff that started in the 40s, they were supposed to be, they weren't exactly integrated, they were more racially distributed, where it was some Italian Americans mixed with African Americans. But for some reason, and if someone can explain this to me too, within like 5 years of them opening, the Cabrini Green became 99% African American, and all the Italians and other there could have been some Puerto Ricans and others, people living in there. They moved to other areas or other, and so the public housing in the major large cities in the United States became very racially stigmatized by the 1970s and 80s, especially the 80s and 90s, because Robert Taylor, Stateway Gardens, Henry Horner, and Cabrini Green, which were the largest public housing in Chicago, literally like 100,000 people at one time lived in those 4 developments, were like 99% black, African American. And so people associated the projects, which is what it was a pejorative, public housing, as housing for poor black people. And that's literally how that's how, when I grew up in America, that's how we thought of the projects. We're like, don't go there. And it was dangerous. You know, there was gangs. They would take pot shots at each other from the roofs. And that's what led to Dan Terrell Davis, the little kid, being killed when he was holding his mother's arms, just walking right over here by the Wayman Church. And so here's some of the new development. We're showing some of the, they're really starting to infill this block where the Wayman Church is, and we show that on the other side. We're on Larrabee here. We're heading to work here. I got 7:20. I got to really start trucking or I'm never going to make it to work. But then, I don't know if this answers your question, Lambie, but eventually, by the 1990s, the housing became so run down and not maintained, and it was dangerous, and they had to condemn some of it. And we'll see some of the condemned areas still here. They haven't torn them down, and people were given vouchers to move to different areas of the city or suburbs. There was a mass displacement of people as all these Great Society public housing developments, giant public housing developments that just tore down a bunch of housing. It tore down a bunch of older housing that probably didn't have good plumbing and that was falling down anyway. But now we're left with, these areas have been scarred twice. The original tearing down, the original housing infrastructure, the streets remained, and then they actually even altered the streets. And then they built these super blocks and they built these big giant towers, and then those came down, and now we're left with these big empty lots that they're trying to infill, but a lot of there's not market pressure except to build luxury housing. We got too much luxury housing, not enough affordable housing. The continuous problem, you know, the president's supposed to speak tonight. Let's see if he addresses affordable housing in any way. See if he even brings it up. You know, it should be something the government's concerned about, affordable housing, right? Especially in this time. I talk to young people. It's their number one concern. They're never going to be able to afford a house. This is America. The American dream is ending. Are you listening to your children? And I know that, you know, a lot of people, their strategy is just inheriting their parents' house. That's your best strategy now to home ownership. And we're going back to like the feudal lords and stuff. Here's look at the beautiful skyline of Chicago. This is just my opinion. I don't care. I don't expect people to agree with my opinion. Thanks for letting me try to answer in my own way here. Here's look at the beautiful skyline of Chicago. There, the sun's rising. Here we got December the 17th, 2025. We got 7:22. And we're over here, 542 West Hobie, this church, Holy Family Lutheran Church, 35 degrees, 721, Larrabee and Hobie Street. And see, that's new development, that's new development. That's been there for about 10 years. There's the old, we'll see it better once we get here. That's some of the last remaining portions of Francis Xavier Cabrini, the earliest housing that was built in the 1940s. Look at that skyline. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. We're heading to work here on Wednesday. Yeah, beautiful skyline. Isn't that nice? Yeah, that T-Lime Tea Time. That's what America's becoming. We see it. We last night there was people sleeping in tents. This weekend it got down to 0 degrees. There were people sleeping outside. I feel bad. I think there's somebody sleeping under that underpass by the Lincoln Park Zoo. They've been there for weeks now, and I'm worried about them, you know. But there are shelters. The churches do outreach. I think that's why they're there. They probably once a day they go to the church, you get a meal, and get some socks and stuff. There are free stores. I can show you where the free stores are. And several times I've encountered people asking for help in downtown. I'm like, you know, there's a free store, and they ask where it's at, and I try to direct them to it, but I don't know if they go to it, because not every, you know, what do you got to have a can opener? Here's if you're homeless, you better carry a can opener with you. It'll come in very handy. I know, I don't mean to judge. Here's Crosby. We're Crosby and Larrabee. So okay, so there's look at this juxtaposition. So let me go over the fence here. I can't extend this. Look at that. So there's the skyline of Chicago, and there's the last remaining portion of the Francis Xavier Cabrini homes. They were built in the 1940s. You see how there's a fence around them? They're condemned, and we walk by them. There are people living in this block. They're on this side of we walk down that street. I got a rerun of it. We're just one block over, but the ones on the other side are all fenced off and condemned. This is Crosby and Larrabee, Lincoln Park, Chicago. Or no, we walked out of Oldtown. We started in Lincoln Park. We went through backside of Oldtown. Now we're in River North. We crossed Division Street with the fire station there. But Lambie, I don't know if that answers your question. I know. So eventually there was a consent decree with the police, because there was fear about police surveillance, and that consent decree continues to this day. It even affects Chicago's dealing with ICE and federal agents. There's a consent decree between the people that live in housing developments and the police, and it's meant to stop uses of the police that Chicago is notoriously known for as well. Laquan McDonald. That actually ended Rahm Emanuel's mayorship. It was a controversy about how police excessive use of force. Here we're at Larrabee. They got some clothing for the kids here, and we'll go past Betty's kitchen there. They have cooking classes. We need to go back there, Betty's. And hey, yeah, Lola and the boys here. Look, they got the rainbows. And this is not a store entrance. That's just like the offices. Here's some of the housing here. We're near the North Branch Chicago River. We should see the river here pretty soon. And I'll try to show the construction progress of the Bally's Casino. There's a temporary casino, of course, where the Medina Temple Auditorium used to be. But the permanent's go where the Chicago Tribune factory used to be for the newspaper there. Gene made a machine. Frank gave it a crank. Joe made it go. Art lit a fart and blew it all apart. Yeah, I remember that joke. Probably back to like the 4th grade there. I got a 4th grade mentality as well. Texican. We'll go see a Texican. We'll go down to Texas. We've been to San Antonio. I posted that rerun of the Riverwalk. I put it to George Strait music. Texas Christmas. It's Christmas time in Texas. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. The president has made the word affordability pejorative. I know, and that's why I'm like, Chris, why do people shame me? You know, I live in Lincoln Park. I'm very fortunate to be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. I think you've seen it. But people like shame me. They're like, how dare you live in Lincoln Park, you horrible, elitist, rich liberal. And I'm like, we got a president that promotes luxury. I mean, they're building a gold ballroom on the White House. I mean, how ostentatious, you know? And watch his speech tonight. See how he talks about affordability, and then we'll talk later. Yeah, see if he even brings it up. He'll say it's a left-wing conspiracy. Don't believe your wallet. Don't believe your lying eyes. The prices are not going up. Like Nixon tried to do the same thing. Nixon tried to do price controls. Didn't end up well. I'm not saying that Democrats are to blame for this as well. I blame the Federal Reserve. That's who I blame, but good luck with that. But here's people, hey, they're heading into the shuttle service here. How you doing? Hey, everybody's going into 600 West here. So this is the old Montgomery wards. Hey, they had this. They got the scaffolding off. So let's check this out. Let's check out the beautiful tower, newly restored. Remember, they had scaffolding here for a long time. Here we're on Larrabee, and here's the old Montgomery wards distribution facility. There's offices, and then there's housing. You see those balconies, and that used to be the offices for Montgomery ward. This used to be the factory, the distribution warehouse where they would put all the stuff for the mail order catalog out. The river's on the other side. We'll show it to you. And the Chicago Bridge is closed. You see this building? This is Yamasaki's the architect. He's the same architect that designed the World Trade Centers in New York City. He did this building right before the World Trade Centers, or about the same time as it was being built, around 1970, 1971. This was the Montgomery ward's corporate offices. And now this is all changed, and Chicago Avenue's closed. And look at that tower. See, there's a statue. It's a replica of one that was used in the World's Columbian Exposition. I don't think it's the actual statue, but they just redid that tower. You see how they got the scaffoldings coming down? They had it all the way up to the top. There's part of the new casino, so we can't walk across the bridge, so we have to go here. So hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. We're going to check out the construction progress of the casino in Chicago, the Bally's Casino and Construction. They're building a hotel. It's right by the river. Supposedly when it's finished, you'll be able to pull your boat right up to it, and there'll be water taxi stop and all that. It'd be nice. If you want to gamble, I'll go check it out. I'm not a big gambler. I don't even gamble on sports. But here's a way to get down here. Let's see if this is open. 600 Chicago. Yeah, good. So there's a spa down here. I like the decor. Kind of reminds me of the Merchandise Mart, but this is the Montgomery ward's housing and offices here. Yeah, Lambie T. Yeah, it's a true kleptocracy. I hear what you're saying, Lambie T. There's corruption in Washington, D.C., lobbyists and corporate money, and they're making money off the government. Don't think they aren't. The merger of corporation with business, it's never more apparent in this administration, but it went on in previous administrations as well. I agree, Lambie T. And it affects you, it affects me, you know. So we'll continue to talk about it. Here's 600 West water taxi. So, complimentary water taxi service available to all tenants. So if you live in this building, you can take a water taxi for free. Right here, here's where you catch it. The yellow Wendella water taxi. That's Goose Island. You see that mound of dirt? They want to build housing there, but it's not started yet. This is started. This is the casino. This is the new Chicago. I didn't realize it was going to be this tall. Look how tall this thing is. Let's count the stories once we get over here. So if you just joined, we're in Chicago. This is the Chicago North Branch Chicago River at Chicago Avenue. And somebody's going to ask me where I'm at after I said all that. And we'll walk past the health club. We'll go underneath the, hey, people working out here at the Montgomery wards. There, we'll go check out the casino there. And hey, everybody's working out. I work out. So we're underneath the bridge here. There's the gears, just like the one in Michigan Avenue, the McCormick Bridge House. You could tour the underneath and all the gears and the bascule bridges and the counterweight and see how the drawbridge works. See the little gears and stuff there. This one's no longer works. They got to replace it. It's a temporary bridge. But here's the new construction progress for the Bally's Casino in Chicago. And look how many, I didn't realize it was going to be so tall. Look, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 7, 8 stories tall. At least 7 stories tall, I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 7 stories tall. I guess the main casino is 7 stories south of Chicago. Halstead's on the other side. This is Chicago River. We're in the Montgomery Ward's building. Larrabee's on the other side of this building, the street, Larrabee. And the hotel is going to be down here. Here's the hotel. So I think that's the hotel portion of the casino. I think it's going to be at least 20 stories tall. Yeah, they got a hotel right there. There's going to be the hotel. I think that's the hotel. Yeah, so Chicago, like New York, you know, the largest cities were the last to get the big casinos. And, of course, the casino companies wanted to tap into this market. Of course, there's sports books now. Gambling's effectively legalized nationwide now, so it doesn't matter, you know. And isn't it amazing? When I was born, the only places you could legally gamble were Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and Native American reservations or nations. Those were the only places you could gamble. And now you can gamble anywhere on your phone. People are gambling on what the next word I'm going to say. You know, if I say tippy tippy top or whatever, you know. There's gambling markets for everything. People gamble on elections. People gamble on the outcomes of murder trials. You can gamble on anything. But here's the hotel, the New Bally's Casino in Chicago. Here we got December the 17th, 2025. We got about 35 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're heading to work here on a Wednesday morning. Look at this thing. Yeah, sometimes the river can have a smell, but it doesn't smell this morning, thankfully. And the river is relatively cleaner than it used to be. I know it's not. It's amazing. Ernesto, Chicago Nuggies covered. They did the river swim, where this is the first year they swam in the river since like the 1920s. So people do fish in the river. I don't fish in the river. I don't know if I would eat fish that come out of this river, but people fish for entertainment, you know. And there are fish in this river. Here's the casino, hotel, the New Bally's Casino in Chicago. Thanks for tuning in. You can see the Metro going across. That thing's massive. Look at the size of this thing. And of course, this used to be the Chicago Tribune distribution facility. We're over here in Montgomery. I think this is called Montgomery Ward Park, and it's where Erie Street used to cross. And we'll start to see the skyline emerge. We'll head to the Chicago Riverwalk. We got 736. Thanks for checking out the casino construction progress here. Naya's tuning in there. Naya Papaya. Yeah, people gamble on everything. People gamble. I'm exaggerating. You know, there's betting markets on all kinds of things. I'm not a gambler. Talk to a true gambler. They'll tell you. You know, there's people even on these apps. They try to create gambling things. I remember when people first went live. People would gamble on stuff live. They would roll bowling balls on conveyor belts, and people would gamble on which ball fell off first and stuff. There, Jenny Sykes, that's the mural there. But here, see, I wonder if this is going to be eventually, this is going to be a water taxi stop here with the water taxi. It's just a place to view the river right now, but there's the New Bally's Hotel. How many stories here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or 9 stories so far on the hotel, and we got 7 stories on the main casino here. So we'll head, this is where you can get on the Eisenhower, the Ohio Street extension to the Kennedy Expressway. Canada, how you doing there? Yeah, Montgomery Ward's out of business, so is Sears. Montgomery Ward, Sears, they couldn't transition to the internet area, which is amazing because 100 years ago, those catalogs were the internet. Here comes the water taxi. So now I understand why the water taxi is going up here. I think it's just for the people that live in that building. I don't know. I hope regular people can take it too. That would be so nice if regular people, they wanted people, I think they sold people the idea that they could commute to downtown by taking the water taxi if they lived in that building. So there's your Chicago water taxi heading up to where we were just at there. It's nice to see it going up the North Branch there. And see, I'm sure they'll want to stop at the casino. That's what it's all planned for. How you doing? They Gold the pawnbroker. No, I'll check them out. They got a good social media presence there. Yeah, we'll check it out. Thanks for the good info there. Yeah. So you could call it whatever you want. Most Chicagoans call it the Sears Tower. I know it's supposed to be called the Willis Tower, which is insurance. I think Willis was recently bought out by Aon, but they're still going to call it the Willis Tower. I guess they're keeping that brand to distinguish between the Aon. But, you know, Sears was the name of the company that built it. You know, the Wrigley Building, they could change the name of the Wrigley Building. I'll still call it the Wrigley Building. You know, we still call Macy's Marshall Fields. We still call the Gothic Target Carson Prairie. Nobody calls it Carson Prairie Scott, but I told you, Louis Sullivan, and that's why it's the Gothic Target. Louis Sullivan designed it for Carson Prairie Scott. Selfridge owned it for a week, and he sold it, went to London. Remember the Selfridges? Here's, yeah, there's the hotel. Hey, thanks for checking out. We'll probably cut that out. So if you missed it, you'll see a rerun. We're just kind of doing progress. We got December the 17th, 2025. We'll just head down Kingsbury. It's very slippery here. That's very slippery. It's melted. Thin layer of ice with the water on top of it. You see, it's very slippery on this side. It's much better on that side, yeah. Divvy's gone. Is Divvy closing shop? I still see Divvy bikes. You know, people ride Divvies in the winter. What is there news about Divvy? Please expand on your statement there. I want to know more. Don't just drop a bomb like that. Yeah, beautiful city here. Thanks for checking out Chicago. You got sushi, Kind Sushi, State Street Barbers. Yeah, so this is some of the housing in River North here. I think that's what they call this. See, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, Divvy asking about Ernie. Oh, okay. Oh, you're asking about Ernie? Oh, Ernie's gone. Yeah, Ernie's probably live streaming himself. Ernie's a live streamer throughout Chicago. We saw him last night. We ran into him at the Bean. There's some construction going on over here. Sounds like a jackhammer going on. Hey, they got some nice thank you essential workers. That goes back to the pandemic. You can't see what's going on there. So, tragically, Bomber Chocolate is no more. It got sold last year. When I first started live streaming on TikTok in 2023, we would often walk by the Bomber Chocolate Factory. You're right, we're close. It's just across the river. Usually when you used to be in this area, you could smell chocolate, and we would walk by there and see the trucks. And it was still in operation until 2024. It got bought out, and they shut it down. They consolidated to a different area. And the Bomber Chocolate Factory, we don't know what's going to happen with that site. It's an industrial warehouse with a lot of equipment in it. We don't know if the developer's going to buy it and change it to housing or what's going to happen with it. So, yeah, sadly, the Bomber... I got reruns on it. Send me a message. I can send you a rerun of the Bomber Chocolate Factory. Yeah, we filmed it. Thanks for bringing that up there. Yeah, Wes, how you doing there? Yeah, tea time. So everybody, if I missed your comment there. So I use just a regular Samsung 23, whatever. I don't have the latest Samsung. And I use a gimbal. I use a DJI gimbal. It's a pretty cheap gimbal. I burn through gimbals. You know, you constantly have to recalibrate them. They don't like getting wet. You know, if it rains, it damages my equipment. I burn through gimbals pretty quickly, so I don't get the most expensive ones because you really got to take care of them. They're sensitive pieces of equipment. Again, the gimbal is what keeps it steady here. You set the phone in it, and I hold it with my hand, so it looks like I got like a microphone on my phone here, and everybody can tell I'm live streaming. So hey, at least people know I'm live streaming. It's not like I'm trying to secretly capture. I'm in public here. It's obvious what I'm doing. I talk really loud, and people don't want to be on camera. They let me know, and I don't. I turn the camera. I say I'll film something else. You know. Hey Scott, how you doing there? Grandma's Corner West. Yeah, Prince.
my dad tells Maggie how much harder.
Yeah, I don't understand your question there. Wisdom, thanks for asking there. I don't understand you asked about crossing the street there. Wait, if I jaywalk, yeah, I jaywalk. You live in the city, you eventually cross the street when you're not supposed to, which is part of, it's like the rolling Chicago stop. I've seen police do it. I've seen somebody do it in front of the police doesn't pull them over. People just kind of roll through the stop. You know, technically they can arrest you for it, but I don't think they want to go to court and challenge it. There's always a worse crime going on, you know. There's always something they're more concerned about than someone just jaywalking, you know. That's you know. Hey Vermont, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in there. That's great. Dragon Master. So hey, if you just joined, we're in Chicago. We're on Kingsbury. We're about to get to the Riverwalk. So we'll get more skyline views once we get to the Riverwalk. We'll walk over to Michigan Avenue. I'm trying to get to Michigan Avenue by 8 o'clock. I don't know if I'm going to make it. We got 7:44 in the a.m. We got about 35 degrees here in Chicago. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a good morning here. So if you missed it last night, we went to Daily Plaza, and there was the third night, the lighting of the menorah. We saw some festivities. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. And then they had the regular Christ Kindle market going on, all the Christmas stuff. We did see some Christmas carolers. I'll cut out that. We got some Christmas carolers, but we got some more. I got some more footage to cut out. I want to cut out the rabbi. The rabbi was, he goes, let's get wild. And he got up there, and the DJ, and he was getting the whole crowd to dance, and they were dancing on the platform. And I thought it was awesome. And the rabbi was getting down. That's what we want to see there. So, thanks to everybody that watched it live there last night. I know my live stream was truncated by, I lost my signal, but we got it going again. So thanks everybody for coming back. So if you missed that on YouTube, you go to the live tab. There's 2 videos from last night. We saw the lighting the menorah, and we went to the first one starts. We saw Ernie at the Bean there and the ice skating at Millennium Park. Then we walked to Daily Plaza, and the second one starts at Daily Plaza when the festivities were already going. I want to catch the parade of trucks driving around. I call it the DJ, but it wasn't the DJ. I think it was a rabbi outreach. I think it was the Kabod House outreach van or one of those things for Hanukkah. But I could have got a dreidel last night. They gave me some cookies. I got some cookies at the Hanukkah lighting, which was great. They're good. I already ate one. I'm going to eat some more today. I took them back to the office. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. Yeah, there's the Kinsey Street Bridge. There's where the Dave Matthews incident happened. If I wasn't late, I'm behind schedule getting where I want to go, I would take you over there. But we're going to go across behind the Merchandise Mart. Here we're on Kinsey Street, Chicago, Illinois. We're almost down to the Riverwalk. There's the 2-block long Merchandise Mart. You see the Trump Tower in the distance here, Chicago, Illinois. 747, how you doing? They're just like sugar cookies, Hanukkah cookies. I don't know. Is there a special name for Hanukkah cookies? Please help me out. I don't know as much about the Jewish culture as I should. So the time is 7:47, just like the plane. 7:47 in the a.m. Chicago time. We're in the Central Time Zone. And here, let me cross to the other side here. We'll head to the other stairs here. Yeah, Chicago's a Riverwalk. If you could stay on for 5 minutes, I'll try to keep you entertained for 5 minutes, and then you'll see the Riverwalk. I'm actually going to walk along the Riverwalk on my way to work here. And that's why when we go further west here to check out the casino construction, it gives me a different way to enter the loop than I usually do. Usually we walk down Michigan Avenue. This we're going to walk from west to east along the Riverwalk from the Merchandise Mart. Chicago, Illinois. We were down there at Kinsey Street. This shows you the raised streets, how, hey, jogging in shorts here. It's warm. It's a heat wave, 36 degrees here. Chicago, Illinois. See, we got any day above freezing is a good day in Chicago, and we were in the morning and we got liquid water, but it's still got snow, dirty Santa. There's the backside of Merchandise Mart. You run in the Chicago Marathon. Yeah, that's great. Proud mom. Thanks, Gene. Thanks. I'm glad your son ran the marathon. Yeah, we covered the marathon. I got a full live rerun. We might see your son in it. We caught the beginning from the wheelchairs to the elite runners all the way to the end. We went up to Lakeview and saw the guys dancing, cheering people on. It was great. Here's the backside of Salesforce Tower and that housing. People live in this building. There's famous live streamers that live in that building in Chicago. Hey, you get your Chicago double range there. You get the Chicago flag on your oven. Yeah. Hey, Kelly, how you doing there? Kelly Quinn. Yeah. So, this is called the Merchandise Mart. You see this? This is called the Merchandise Mart. It's one of the largest buildings in Chicago, if not the world. 333 North Orleans. You can type that into your Google machine. It'll pull up a map and it'll show you exactly where we're at. We're about to go to the Chicago River, the main channel. The north and south branch converge here. It's called the Confluence. It's in a lot of her symbols, the three branches of the river there. And the Merchandise Mart is a huge building. It was built in 1929. You'll get a nice view of it once we cross this street here. So here we go. Let's get across this street here before the light changes. There's the Merchandise Mart. It's over 20 stories tall, 2 blocks wide, built in 1929, 1930 by Marshall Field and a lot of business associates. And it was a place to display merchandise. Think of it as a early service merchandise. Remember that store, Service Merchandise? You say, I want the display model. They're like, no, the box comes out the back on the conveyor belt. Who remembers Service Merchandise? See those giant heads? So those are all the business leaders in the 1920s that pulled their resources together to build the Merchandise Mart. Those are the giant heads there. Hey, there's me, there's Brian Lee, Chicago. Every time when my camera gets really cold, when I try to zoom in, it flips around the camera, so you get a nice impromptu cameo of me, which is fine. See, I do show my face. I don't like doing the winter piece. I usually have snot on my mustache from walking in the cold and turns into frozen icebergs and things like that. But here, this is Chicago River. This is Chicago Riverwalk we're heading to here. Main branch Chicago River. We're at Franklin Street Bridge here. Merchandise Mart. We'll head across here. Hey, how you doing? Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. That's great. People saying hello. I'm sure live streamers become really annoying because there's a lot of us now. If I run into several live streamers a day, I'm sure regular people and their daily counters run into several live streamers. All these people walking around with cameras here. We think we're part of the surveillance society. I'm afraid they're surveilling me. Here's, yeah, look at that. That's okay. Thanks for checking out Chicago. Hey, we're going to get a really great view to the Sears Tower. Yes, I said Sears. Some people call it the Willis. You can call it the Willis. That's fine with me. I call it the Sears. Same thing. You'll figure it out. There it is. The Sears Tower in Chicago. 1,400 feet tall. Over that. Over 400 meters tall. Tallest building in Chicago. Hey, let's head down to the Riverwalk here. I got to get to work here. We got 7:52. So I'm going to hold on to the railing here so I don't slip on the stairs here. You never know. Sometimes the ice thaws overnight and then it refreezes right in the morning. So be careful on any steps this morning. There were some slick areas, even though it's above freezing. That can make it just as treacherous on this ice. Man, Chicago has nice bridges. These are bascule bridges. We film when the sailboats go through here in the spring and fall, and they raise and lower these things. Yeah, walks and tours. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks for checking out our tours here. Yeah, that's what we do. This is a type of tour, virtual tours. You know, there's several people that do them in person. You can find people that do them in person. I'll do it if I have to, but I got a day job. I work for an architecture engineering firm. So, yeah. Here, look at that. There's the Brown Line. Brown Line heading across the Wells Street Bridge here, Chicago, Illinois. It's pretty quiet. There it goes. Sounds of the city pulling into the Merchandise Mart stop there. Jefferson Park, thanks for tuning in. Pyramid, that's great. Yeah, very nice. Australia, good day. How you doing there? Yeah, subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks, Grandma's Corner there, Deborah. Let's see who else is tuning in there. Better late than never, yeah. You like this? Uganda's tuning in. Very nice. Yeah, it's a positive channel. We're trying to be positive. Just wait till I have to walk past the Trump Tower. We'll get comments both ways. People are like, "Why do you show the Trump Tower?" I'm like, I have to show it. You know, it would be worse if I didn't show it, because I walk past it every day, and people know I walk past it. So I show it and say, "Hey, it's the second tallest building in Chicago," and we move on. You know. Dwayne, that's your opinion. Dwayne, do you realize that public opinion's shifting against you? So yeah, I know there's going to be some diehard loyalists, which you're allowed to do that, and I commend your conviction for standing by your principles that Trump's your guy. A lot of people were angry about affordability, inflation, things that he thought that he was going to concentrate on. We see he'd rather hang out with billionaires throughout the world than American people, and you know, even though including some of my relatives, and I'm not faulting them, because I'm sure they're faulting me because we don't understand each other, and at least politically. And thanks for expressing your political view, but don't be surprised if you don't get backlash, because we got a lot of backlash just by not speaking about the guy in a positive way. And we see liberals justifiably have been stereotyped as snowflakes. Now I see a lot of MAGA acting like snowflakes, where they can't stand any criticism at all, which that sounds like a communist leader there, where you got to put his picture up and hail to the chief. And you know, us as Americans, we reserve the right to make fun of any president. I made fun of Biden, I made fun of Obama, I made fun of Trump both times. I made fun of Trump during his first term. I'm still going to make fun of him now, because that's what we do as Americans. We don't want our leaders to become too powerful. I don't care who they are, on the right or the left, because that's where things get out of whack. And now we're in this retribution punishment phase where it's like spiking the ball, shoving it in people's face, and we're not going to stand for it. Here, look at the nice, look at the snow. Look at the snow on the stairs here. Ernie was showing the steam coming off the river. But people can express their support for Trump if you want to. That's fine. You know, they don't expect me to agree with you, and I don't expect you to agree with me. We'll agree to disagree. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that we could tolerate different points of view in America? We all don't have to think the same. Isn't that a nice American value? Monoculture. Who wants monoculture? I don't want everybody to be the same. I don't want everybody to be one ethnicity. I don't want everybody to be one religion, one skin color. That's boring. Look at the great diversity of America. Look at all the great music and food and varieties, the spice of life. Same goes with religions, lack of religion. We don't want a state-sponsored religion. You know, we don't want to be like the Ayatollahs of the Middle East. Here's and I have nothing against Islam. I'm just I'm against the at the exclusion of everything else. I'm not against Christianity. I just don't want. I want there to be other options. You know, not everybody. What works for you might not work for me. That's what it is. I know it's hard for people to take. People get all disconcerted. They think we don't share the same values. I disagree. We can share the same values, even if we have. That's what sectarianism's about. It's finding a way to coexist. Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody. How you doing there? Diversity's not bad for society. Okay, explain why. Let's have the conversation. Uno, why is diversity bad for society? What, because people are small-minded and they can't tolerate differences? Is there something flawed with human nature that we can't accept differences amongst human beings? You know, please explain. Explain why you think diversity is a bad thing. I think that's the old colonialism. That was the old where everybody's supposed to assimilate to a dominant culture. Spain tried to do that. Why do people in Mexico who are mostly indigenous speak Spanish? Why do I speak English, even though I have significant German ancestry, all the way back to the Melungeons and different other ethnic groups? You know, some of it was forced assimilation, some of it was coerced. Same thing's going on now. I know it seems like makes it interesting. I don't want it to lead to the Third Reich. I don't want to lead to social Darwinism, where people think there's a social hierarchy based upon race. That's the true evil, which I reject, and that's the danger when you try to force everybody to be the same. There's always outliers within humanity. You know, a lot of innovation and the way society changes is driven by outliers. Jesus Christ was an outlier. I'm pretty secular. I don't mean to preach to people. Jesus Christ was not accepted by the religious authorities of his time. He was considered a heretic and a political liability. That's why he was crucified. And if you don't think religion is political, Christ was killed because of politics. Talk to the Romans. They were worried about an Israeli. Oops, I know it's very slick here. Go ahead. I know. Yeah, go ahead. It's very slick here. You see, there's a little coating of ice on top of the water's refreezing here, so I want to show that. Yeah, not everybody agrees that Jesus Christ even existed. So, you know, and think how, if that's true, look how much he impacted wars. People died for somebody that may not have existed. You know, do you believe the Buddha existed? Do you believe Muhammad existed? Muhammad, the prophet for Islam? You know, there had to be some historical figure, that real person. He might not have been the son of God, but he might have been the son of God. But Muhammad, Islam think he was, you know, Jesus Christ was just the prophet. He wasn't the son of God. Both Islam, Judaism, and Christianity all come from the Abrahamic first 5 books of the Old Testament. That's what we share in common. All 3 religions share Abraham, as in the Genesis, Adam and Eve creation story, you know. That's why we call it the Judeo-Christian heritage of Western civilization. And it includes Islam, but Western civilization fought against Islam in the Crusades and the wars in the Middle Ages, which affected Spain and Yugoslavia and Italy and North Africa. Here's welcome to Chicago. We're on the Chicago Riverwalk. We're heading to work, talking about ancient history. It's interesting, the comments we get. See, look, I'll film the Trump Tower. Imagine the comments we're going to get. You should have saw the comments we got last night when I filmed the lighting a menorah, and I just let them fly. Thanks to my mods for getting rid of the worst ones. But I cringe when I read some of the comments, and they're stuck and sewn with their username. People can blatantly see it's an anti-Semitic statement, and their username's right next to it, and it's recorded in my video that you could see. So people must be proud of what they're saying. I'm not proud of what they're saying. I'm exposing what people's thoughts are. And people say they're joking. Sometimes when you're joking, it's meant to be hurtful. Here's the Trump Tower. There's the Marina Towers, Patron Goldberg. Here's the Vietnam War Memorial here in Chicago. Flags are no longer at half staff. Here's we thank all the military, all branches of the military, Gold Star families, American Red Cross, USO, missing in action. These are people that lost their life in the Vietnam War. We won't forget. And just like the one in Washington, D.C., these are ones that lost their life in the Chicagoland area. All sides of the city, west, south, and north, fought in that war. Oops. So hey, I'm gonna head to work here. We got 8:03. So thanks for checking out our little walk to work here. As soon as I get up, we'll head over to Michigan Avenue here. Yeah, we're all the same. There's only one race, the human race. I agree, and everything else is just nuance. There's more that unites us than divides us. There's more. We're more alike than unalike. We are more the same than unsame. We gotta focus on what unites us more than what divides us. The small little things that divide us. I hear some music over there. Maybe we'll head down Wabash here. We're crossing Wabash, Wacker Drive. There's the Wrigley Building, the Tribune Tower, the Trump Tower, second tallest building in Chicago. Hey, we got the light. There's the train. There's the pink line around the bend there. That's Wabash. Scenes of the city. Yeah, he who has not sinned cast the first stone. I'm getting all philosophical on people here. Hey, thanks Audrey, thanks for watching YouTube. Yeah, I know TikTok. I've been streaming on YouTube here for a while. How is it? You know, there's reasons I'm here on YouTube. I appreciate it. We still go on TikTok every once in a while when we do. So if you want to comment, the best place is here on YouTube. I'm trying to get people. Thanks for watching on YouTube from TikTok. I appreciate it. I'm not leaving TikTok. I'm just switched my live streaming operations to YouTube for several reasons. I like that it records the whole rerun. Like if you missed any part of this rerun, the beginning where you want to see with the casino in the middle, you can go to the live tab, and before I edit it down, you can watch the raw footage. Sometimes people miss a live stream, they want to see something I was going to film. I'm like, go watch the recording. You know, if you missed it, they're like, oh, I missed it. I said, well, watch the rerun. You know, I know it's not live, but you'll be able to you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can fast forward just to the part you want to see and then watch something else. And then I'll eventually, if it's important, we edit out the clips. That's what I'll work on today. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. Citizen M. Yeah, I think the rumor is they want to put a Portillo's here. See, there's the Mather Tower, Citizen M Hotel. This is the lobby for the Citizen M. And I think here on Michigan Avenue side, they're talking about putting a Portillo's. So Portillo's is a hot dog chain, started in Villa Park, but I think it's all over the suburbs and other places in the United States. But there's two in downtown Chicago. One's in River North, one's in the South Loop. I think they're talking about putting a Portillo's. It looks like there's some construction. There's me. How you doing? There's some construction activity going on in here. So here's Michigan Avenue. There's the Wrigley, the Tribune, and the John Hancock there. Look at that. Hey, thanks for watching our live walk here in Chicago. Damn. So here we got, I think my screen froze here. So here comes a police car. I think my screen froze here, so I can't tell if I'm filming or not here. But here they're crossing the street there. So here, I think we'll get across here. So I'm gonna end this live. I think I lost my connection here. So hey, we'll be on at lunchtime there. Thanks everybody. We'll see you from Chicago. Have a great day. Appreciate it. Thanks mods. And we'll talk to you. Yeah, we're frozen. Okay, good. We'll talk to you later. Okay, bye. I was about to end the live anyway.